of the Nakba. The Nakba is a catastrophe for the Palestinians who were driven out of their homes in 1948. The Nakba never came to an end. People are still being driven out of their homes in Palestine, in Jerusalem, West Bank, Gaza, and the occupied territories. We are marking this in two sets of events. This Saturday, we are in Birmingham City Centre, marking the vigil itself. Next Saturday, we will be taking coaches to London and will be in the Parliament Square from 11 a.m. onwards. The coaches will leave the Central Mosque at 8 o'clock and Cast Lane Church at 8:15. We would ask you all to join us. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. We are commemorate the Palestinian catastrophe, the Nakba. It was 65 years ago. It's our historical and suffering and struggling for justice and the human rights. We are struggling for more about a century now, looking forward for peace and justice. This is our aim and this is our goal. We are, as a victim from this catastrophe, this Nakba, as a victim, sons and a victim's grandsons, we are looking forward to return back to our homes, to our holy land, Palestine. We are looking forward to return back not just to Gaza or West Bank. We are looking forward to return back to Palestine as it was Palestine, the historical Palestine. This is our aim and what we're looking for. It's our duty to keep struggling to go there. And because of that, we think there is a duty for the British government to do because of their historical mistake that they did before, a century of mistakes they continue doing there. When the Balfour Declaration announced, they took our land to the others. They took our land, Palestine, and they gave it to other people. And because of that, we are looking as Palestinians, Muslims, Christians, and Jews. We are looking for all as Palestinian people to do something to our future, or to our kids, to the new Palestinian generation.
Hello everybody, my name is Chris Habib. I am from the West Midlands and National Palestinian Solidarity Campaign. And we've called this vigil here today because it's almost the 65th anniversary of what the Palestinians call the Nakba, which means the catastrophe. Because 65 years ago, Israel was formed, and in its formation, it began the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians to form Israel to create Israel as a state that gave special privileges to you if you were Jewish, and if you weren't Jewish, you weren't given these privileges. To do that, they needed to kick out the people who were already living in Palestine. And this is what began way back 65 years ago, when there were massacres and people were forced off their land, or other people were not allowed to return afterwards. We're holding this vigil not just to remember all those lives that were lost and the land that was stolen, but also because the ethnic cleansing is continuing today. Every crime that is created, it's a crime that is continuing today and has devastating human consequences today. There are over 4 million Palestinian refugees living in refugee camps surrounding Palestine, or the 67 borders of Israel. and many of them are living in poverty, aren't able to get proper work, and this tragedy has continued for 65 years. There also are over 1 million Palestinians living within the 67 borders of Israel who are denied rights and discriminated against, have much higher unemployment, have much poorer education, because Israel is a state that is set up to discriminate against anybody who is not Jewish. And this situation cannot continue and must be stopped. You also have settlements being created on the West Bank to try and force out Palestinians from that area. A UN report recently said that Palestinians are being pushed off their land at an increasing rate. So far this year, over 400 Palestinians have had land confiscated. Other Palestinians have been pushed out of their homes in Jerusalem. So this catastrophe that we're commemorating, that started 65 years ago, is continuing today. And it is probably the biggest threat to world peace in the world today. So it's not just Palestinians and people who want to express solidarity with the Palestinians and people who believe that we must build a world based on equality, whatever religion you're from, whatever ethnicity you're from. It's not just people who have those beliefs, but every single person living in this world today, living in this country, living in Birmingham, has a vested interest in trying to see a just peace in Palestine and for a peace in the Middle East. Because wars across the whole world, terrorism across the whole world are created by that situation there. And so we call everybody in Birmingham to support the Palestinian struggle for justice. Unfortunately, our government is not supporting this. They say some mealy words about how they want to see the settlement stopped and a just peace settlement, but they do nothing to put pressure on Israel. But people in this city, people in England and in Britain can do something, because you can support the boycott, disinvestment and sanctions campaign, which has been growing in strength internationally. You had the news just a couple of days ago that the famous scientist, the famous British scientist Stephen Hawking, who you may have seen on television, who's in a wheelchair and needs computer assistance to speak, he pulled out of an international academic conference that was being held in Israel because he wanted to support the boycott movement, the academic boycott, to say that to see a change, to see the Israeli government actually beginning to talk about justice for Palestinians and a peaceful solution, it needed pressure put on from people like him. It needed a boycott campaign. But you don't just have to be famous like Stephen Hawking to put pressure on. Every single person walking the streets here today can refuse to buy Israeli goods when they go into supermarkets. Have a look at the oranges, have a look at the avocados, have a look at the sweet potatoes, the herbs that you buy. They very often can be Israeli, and you can add to the growing movement, just like we did to bring down apartheid South Africa and to get a more just situation there. You can actually put the same pressure, because we used to refuse to buy South African goods until Mandela was freed and we got a more just society there. In the same way, you can refuse to buy goods that are made in Israel. You can also sign a petition that we have on the store. If you come up here, you can sign petitions to say that our council should end the contract with Veolia. Veolia are the people who collect your rubbish every week, or sometimes fail to collect it, who run all the environmental clean-up operations for Birmingham. They are a big French multinational, and they are working with Israel to do work on the West Bank settlements, the Israeli settlements, which are recognized as being illegal in international law, which have been called on to be stopped by the United Nations. Yet Veolia, the company that we are paying our council tax towards, we are paying our taxes towards, is doing the clean-up here. And we are calling on Birmingham City Council to to support human rights internationally, to support the struggle for justice, and for Birmingham City Council to end that contract with Veolia, because to say that our money should not be going to support a firm that is supporting the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and perpetuating the injustice and civil rights abuses and human rights abuses in the Middle East. So please support us, please support the Palestinian
Birmingham Stop the War Coalition, and I just want to explain why we're supporting this Nakba rally today. Israel is one of the most violent and interventionist countries in the world. It is invading lots of countries surrounding it. It has recently bombed Syria. It has intervening in a civil war which it has no responsibility for. It is also one of the main producers in the world, and they had a factory in Shenstone near Birmingham producing drones. Women and children in the world today. In 2006, the Americans had hit a school in Pakistan and 69 children were killed. There's been great controversy in America about 20 children being killed in an attack by people with mental health problems. But 69 children were killed on one attack in 2006. Now the most disgusting thing really is not just that, but the fact that the world does not know that. The fact that that is a secret and is never publicised. And Israel is one of the main promoters of drone warfare. It is using it in the Gaza Strip. It is using it in the West Bank. And that is one of the reasons we are so opposed to them. Israel is used by America as a tool to intervene and to stop progressive regimes or progressive movements in the Middle East. It's linked up to the most reactionary regimes in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Israel is an apartheid state. Israel is as much an apartheid state as South Africa. There are towns in Israel, although you're a full citizen of Israel, I am Israeli Arab, you're not allowed to live there. It is like to say that black people cannot live in Handsworth and white people in Britain cannot live in Salio. That is the fantastically ridiculous situation that the Israeli state is. But of course that was the situation in South Africa. In South Africa, black people were not allowed to live in certain areas of power of the ANC. Israel engaging in systematic discrimination against the Palestinian people and the Israeli Arabs. Most jobs, many jobs in Israel are advertised, must have completed military service. Israeli Arabs don't do military service. And therefore they're discriminated against that. That is why increasingly people are turning against Israel. That is why increasingly is a movement for boycott and boycotting their goods and their institutions. And that is why the Stop the War Coalition here today is bringing its voice of solidarity to Nakba. 65 years ago, at gunpoint, 300,000 Palestinian people were terrorized out of their homes. Many of those people still have the keys to the homes that they were thrown out of. But of course they're not allowed to go back because Arabs are not allowed to live in certain parts of Israel, like apartheid South Africa. So I bring our greetings to this meeting. I just want to make one announcement. At the end of June, on the 29th of June, at the Islamic Centre in Sydenham Road in Sparkbrook, Stop the War Coalition, jointly with the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, has got a major meeting with a speaker from Gaza, a speaker on the Indian subcontinent, and a speaker from Kashmir. And there are leaflets available for people to get, but I give my greetings to the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. We are remembering today, or these days, the 65th anniversary of the Nakba catastrophe. which means a century of discrimination, a century of crimes, Israeli crimes, a century of human rights abuse. The Nakba, which means catastrophe in English, it got a very bad influence in our lives. And because of that, we are letting Hamza and Bilal describing 10 easy and clear points to explain what Nakba is.
Nakba is the Arabic word for catastrophe. It is used to describe the Palestinian loss of land and property during the depopulation of Palestine from 1947 to 1949, and does not refer simply to the declaration of a state of Israel. 212 depopulated and at least half of the refugees created during the Nakba were created prior to May 15, which is prior to the entry of the armies of the other Arab states. The largest Palestinian cities at the time, Jaffa and Haifa, were emptied of the vast majority of their inhabitants before May 15, 1948. The idea that refugee creation happened only after or only as a result of the mobilization of Arab armies is patently false. Golda Meir struck a secret agreement with the King of Jordan